harmonium, mridanga, kartas. These are all representatives of Lord Balaram. So we honor them a lot. We respect them and try to take care of them, that they can be used in the service of the Lord. So today, because it's Balaram Punim, we don't have a verse on the board, because I can just choose what I want to speak about. That's the perk of speaking on the days like this. So the first I will Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Where did you put the microphone? Ach so. Nee, alles gut. Danke. So, this is so special. The appearance day of the Lord, the different appearance days of the Lord, they are very special because they give a very special benediction. Because we can come to understand some of the qualities, some of the intricacies of the Lord's appearance. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, if you know the verse, you can repeat. Janma kama cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata chakvadeha puna janma naiti mameti sojuna. Let's just read the translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attain my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So, this is a very powerful verse. So, we only need to know, not just that, we don't need to know only the appearance. We need to know the transcendental appearance, the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities. So, what a blessing! So we should be interested to know what is actually happening when Krishna appears. Now, today we have the Balaram Punim, so it's like 8 days before Krishna's appearance. So that was exactly what Balaram was going for, the appearance of Krishna. So Balaram, he actually appeared first in the womb of Devaki. So Devaki and Vasudeva, they were in prison, and in order to prepare Devaki's womb for the appearance of Lord Krishna, first Lord Balaram appeared in her womb. So previously to that, Devaki, she had lost 6 children. So she was feeling very divinely blissful that now there's another child in my womb. So at this time also, because Vasudeva and Devaki, they were in prison, but Vasudeva, he had more wives. He had, I think he had like 4 wives, but at least he had more than one. And one of his other wives was Rohini. And Rohini, she was 3 months pregnant, and because Vasudeva, he was imprisoned, he could not really protect his wives. So he sent his wives to Gokula, to Nanda Maharaj, to the house of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, because Vasudev and Nanda Maharaj, they were very close. Nanda Maharaj, he was a very simple farmer, cowherd man. And Vasudev, he was like a royal prince. So they were kind of like different, but they had a very deep and close relationship. So Vasudev, he trusted completely in Nanda Maharaj. So therefore, he had sent his wife under the protection. And Rohini, who was one of Vasudev's wives, she was 3 months pregnant at that time. So she came, and as soon as she met with Mother Yashoda, they were completely in a loving relationship. They immediately bonded in a very deep way, Rohini and Mother Yashoda. So, because we are, Lord Balaram, it's all about the appearance of Krishna. Because Lord Balaram, he's Krishna's servant. He is, so he had been preparing the womb of Devaki, but, and she was very blissful. But Krishna, he kind of like, he because he was also preparing his own appearance. So why does Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, why does he says, if you know the transcendent nature of my appearance and activities, then you can, when you leave your body, you don't only need to do one thing. If you know that, you only need to do one thing. You only have to die, and then you go back. Why does Krishna make that statement? Because it's very difficult to understand all these things that happens around Krishna's appearance. It's very difficult to understand all Krishna's activities. So if you can actually understand the transcendent nature of Krishna's activities, then you only need to die and you go back to the spiritual world. So this whole, everything that happened, Krishna, he requested Yogamaya to please make a transfer. Please transfer the baby in the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. And then you, Yogamaya, you take birth, or you enter the womb of Mother Yashoda. So Yogamaya, she had to do 2 things. First, she had to make a transfer from Devaki's womb, where Balaram was, and he should be moved to the womb of Rohini, who was already 3 months pregnant. So what is happening is that the Balaram, who was already in Rohini's womb, and the Balaram, who was in Devaki's womb, they kind of like became one Balaram in Rohini's womb. That's why we need to know the transcendental nature. It's very complicated, everything here. And then, because it's actually, what is making Krishna appear? Why does Krishna wants to appear? He only wants to appear because of the love. So there was the brotherly love of Balaram, who had been preparing Devaki's womb, and then there was the motherly love of Devaki, who was like, they were like expecting, they both had, both Devaki and Vasudev, they had visions of this divine personality who is going to appear as their child. So they both, within the heart of Devaki, within the heart of Vasudeva, Krishna was very much present. He had not yet appeared in her womb, but Balaram had already been preparing the womb with his brotherly love and purifying. And then, so at this point, Balaram, he is transferred to the womb of Rohini, who then she stays pregnant for 14 months. It's everything is very, very mystical, because everything is happening directly under the Lord's. It's everything has a divine plan. So she stays pregnant for 14 months. Because Balaram, he was very conscious that this time he wants to be part of Krishna's pastimes. But he is not going to be his younger brother. He wants to be his older brother. But he don't want to be too much his older brother, because then there will not be so closeness. If there's too many years between children, we know that also in families, then there may not be such a close connection. But if children are very close in age, then they easily bond. So Balaram, he wanted to have a deep bond with Krishna, but he wanted to be his older brother, because when he appeared as in the Ramchandra Leela, he had been Lakshman, he had been the younger brother, and he had to do so many things which under the order of Lord Ram that he didn't want to do. Set the fire for Sita's burning, and there were so many things he had to do during that time as the younger brother. So Balaram, he was very conscious, I want to come and I want to have this deep brotherly exchange, relationship with Krishna, but I have to be the older brother. So when after 14 months, it was exactly the time, it was the Purnima, it was 8 days before Krishna's appearance, and then Balaram, he appears from the womb of Rohini, and then Krishna, he appears in the prison cell of King Kamsa in front of Devaki and Vasudeva. And first he appears as a small baby, and first he appears as a full Vishnu form with 4 hands in the prison cells, and then Devaki and Vasudeva say, "Oh, when you are this big divine person, how can we protect you? Please become a baby." So then Krishna, he becomes the baby, and then Vasudeva, he takes baby Krishna, and at the same time, in Gokula, Mother Yashoda, she has given birth to a girl. To a girl. I imagine. Yeah. So she has given birth to a girl. So this is very interesting, because during the night she gives birth to the girl, and then she falls asleep. And then during the night, Vasudeva, the shackles of the prisoners, the doors open, and Vasudeva, he walks out with baby Krishna, and he walks to Gokula, and there he exchanges the babies. So those who are ladies who have given birth to a child, I don't know, you have given birth to a child? Yes? So what is one of the first thing you want to know when you give birth to a child? Is the boy or is the girl? Yes. But she has given birth to a girl during the night, and she falls asleep, and then when she wakes up in the morning, then, oh, it's a boy. So she just accepts, and because she's completely in love with Krishna immediately. So she, oh, my boy, my Lala, my boy. So Krishna and Balaram, they are living in the same household. Balaram, he has been born 8 days before Krishna, and then Krishna, he comes. So they're the same size. So they crawl together, they play together, they do all kinds of things together. But still, Balaram, he is the older brother. Even if you have like twins, then sometimes between the twins, they would say, I'm the older one. They are only born like 17 minutes before the other one, but they will still claim I'm the older one. So there was only these 8 days between Krishna and Balaram, but it was very clear Krishna is the older brother, Balaram is the older brother. So that's something when we read this verse, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, know about the transcendental nature of the appearance and activity of Krishna and Balaram. Then this can help us, to really get all these different details. There are so many details. I may have left out hundreds of details because it goes very deep, and there is a reason for everything, every single detail. How Balaram in the womb of Rohini and from the womb of Devaki became one Balaram. And, there's a whole philosophy, all the previous teachers and acharyas, they have commentated on this, and there's all kind of philosophical details to this. I don't know, but that's there. So all of the details and all the things that happen, they are going very deep. So Balaram and Krishna, they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When you read in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are the scheduled incarnations of the Lord. And the 17th incarnations is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balaram. So both of them are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not just that Krishna is the Supreme Personality. Balaram, he's also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he is the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. So he comes as the servant of Krishna. And he manifests himself in so many forms, like we spoke about the instruments. We speak about Krishna's shoes. We speak about Krishna's clothes. We speak about all of these things that serve Krishna. These are all representations of Balaram. And sometimes Balaram, sometimes he would know things because Krishna wanted him to know, but sometimes he would also not know things because Krishna wanted it to be like that. And I wanted to read, that was actually the first, when Kamalasita asked me to speak today, the first thing I was thinking about was this beautiful small story in the Krishna book. And I think I will just read it. This is, of course, we were speaking just about the appearance. With this, we are just fresh in the complete childhood. But now we are in Dwaraka. And Balaram, it's interesting because Balaram, he spent actually the most time with Krishna. Because during the day, Krishna, he would be herding cows. When he was in Vrindavan, he would be herding cows. He would be out the whole day with the cowherd boys. And Balaram would be there. So during the whole childhood, Balaram, they spent all this time together. They were always together. And then Krishna, he moved. When Krishna, he goes to Mathura, who is he going to Mathura with? He goes to Mathura with Balaram. They are the two brothers who enter Mathura like royal elephants and are capturing the heart of all the ladies in Mathura because of their beauty, and they are together. And then, of course, there are some time Balaram, he go on a long pilgrimage, and when Krishna moves to Dwaraka, then Balaram, he is also moving to Dwaraka, but he is not all the time there personally, but he is sometimes there, sometimes not there. But at this time, he is together with Krishna in Dwaraka, and I just love this because it's about the point that sometimes Krishna, he let Balaram know something, and sometimes he is not letting him know. So they are actually, I think it's funny because this really old Krishna book, at least 3 or 4 of the pictures, they are of Balaram. Anyway, I can say. So I will read a little story from the Krishna book about Subhadra, Krishna's sister, which this was Yoga Maya. She was born by Yashoda. We heard that she was born by, but then she was brought to the. That was actually very dramatic. But she was brought to the prison cell because she was exchanged with Krishna, and with Kamsa he came and he grabbed her, and he wanted, because he had killed the 6 other babies before. So he grabbed, but because she was Yoga Maya, she was very powerful, and when he wanted to smash her, she kind of like appeared in her big form, and she was again same. The baby that you are wanting to kill, he has taken birth somewhere else. So she got Kamsa agitated because he lost. Anyway, but Subhadra now, she is a grown woman, and she is actually living in the house of her brother Balaram, because that is like custom in India, that when you have the girl, either they live in the father's house or they will live in the brother's house until they get married. They live in a protected stage. So Subhadra, she was living in the house of Lord Balaram in Dwarka. And then I will just read what happens before. Sannyasis are generally meant to travel all over the country for preaching work. But during the 4 months of the rainy season in India, from September through December, they do not travel, but take shelter in one place and remain there without moving. This non-movement of the sannyasis is called Chaturmasha Vrata. When a sannyasi stays in a place for 4 months, the local inhabitants of that place take advantage of his presence and become spiritually advanced. Arjuna. Now it really becomes interesting. So Arjuna, in the dress of a Tridanda sannyasi, remained in the Dwaraka city for 4 months, devising a plan whereby he could get Subhadra as wife. So Arjuna, he has dressed himself up as a sannyasi because because not because he wanted to do like the other sannyasis and preach and enlighten the peoples, but he had dressed up as sannyasi so he can figure out a way how he can get Subhadra as wife. The point about this is that Balaram, he is a very special character, because he not only, of course, he favored Krishna at all times, but he also somehow had some affection for Duryodhana, because he had taught Duryodhana how to fight with the club. And Duryodhana had been a very good student, very obedient, very nice student. So Balaram had some affection for Duryodhana. And therefore he had decided, I want to give my sister in marriage to Duryodhana. And this was why Arjuna, he had to figure out some kind of plan how to get Subhadra. Because this talk in town was already that Subhadra, she is going to marry Duryodhana. And of course, Subhadra, she didn't want to marry Duryodhana. But and Arjuna, he had already, he was very, he was so determined that he would dress up as a sannyasi, which means he also would performing all the duties of a sannyasi for 4 months during the rainy seasons. He would so that it would not be, so that people would not look at him. What is this kind of sannyasi? He is not acting as a sannyasi. So he was playing the role perfectly for 4 months to get Subhadra as wife. So devising a plan whereby he could get Subhadra as wife. The inhabitants of Dwaraka, as well as Lord Balaram, could not recognize the sannyasi to be Arjuna. Therefore, all of them offered their respects and obeisances to the sannyasi without knowing the actual situation. One day, Lord Balaram invited this particular sannyasi to lunch at his home. Balaramji very respectfully offered him all kinds of palatable dishes. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Makarana Ki. So Balaram very respectfully offered him all kinds of palatable dishes, and the so-called sannyasi was eating sumptuously. If you eat sumptuously, it means you eat a lot. Sannyasis are not meant to eat a lot. It was already clear this is not a normal sannyasi. So he was eating sumptuously. While eating at the home of Balaramji, Arjuna was simply looking over the beautiful Subhadra, who was very enchanting, even to the great heroes and kings. Out of love for her, Arjuna's eyes brightened and he began to see her with glittering eyes. So he's completely smitten. He's completely in love. And they're sitting. There's one picture of this. I don't know. I was looking for it before. Yeah. So here we have the sannyasi. He's sitting here. And Balaram is sitting here. That's in Balaram's house, and they are all around the table. And this sannyasi, he's just sitting there and looking at Subhadra. So she is like very shy with her sari and very nice, but but Arjuna, he's looking at her with glittering eyes. Arjuna decided that somehow or other he would achieve Subhadra as his wife. And his mind became agitated on account of this strong desire. Arjuna, the grandfather of Maharaj Parikshit, was himself extraordinarily beautiful. And his bodily structure was also very much attractive to Subhadra. Subhadra also decided within her mind that she would accept only Arjuna as her husband. As a simple girl, she was smiling with great pleasure looking at Arjuna. Thus Arjuna also became more and more attracted by her. In this way, Subhadra dedicated herself to Arjuna, and he resolved to marry her by all means. He then became absorbed 24 hours a day in the thought of how he could get Subhadra as his wife. He was afflicted with the thought of getting Subhadra, and he had no moment's peace of mind. So this is the great Kshatriya Arjuna we are talking about. Yes. So once upon a time, Subhadra, seated on a chariot, came out of the palace fort to see the gods of the temple. So actually, we celebrate now the festival of the chariot or the Radha Yatra. We celebrate that maybe for other reasons, but originally that festival was a festival which was after the 4 months of the rainy season, of the Chaturmasha, when that season was finished. Then there was a festival of the chariots. And that was what Subhadra went for. That's why she's out of the protections of Balaram's house, and she's going out to be part of this festival. Arjuna took this opportunity, and with the permission of Vasudeva and Devaki, he kidnapped her. So she was now under the protection of Balaram, so he should actually have taken permission from Lord Balaram, but he knew, Arjuna, he knew that's not going to work because he is so much affectionate to Duryodhana, Lord Balaram, so this is not going to work. So Arjuna had jumped a link. He had gone back to the parents of Subhadra and he had asked them, can I please have your daughter for marriage? And they had agreed. So he is kidnapping her, but it's not so bad because he had already asked permission from the parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. And after getting On Subadra's chariot, he prepared himself for a fight, taking up his bow and holding off with his arrows. The soldiers ordered to check him. Arjuna took Subhadra away. While Subhadra was being thus kidnapped by Arjuna, her relatives and family members began to cry, but still he took her, just like a lion takes his share and departs. When it was disclosed to Lord Balaram that the so-called sannyasi was Arjuna and that he had planned such a device simply to take away Subhadra, and that he had actually taken her, he became very angry. Just like the waves of the ocean become agitated on a full moon day, Lord Balaram became greatly disturbed. Lord Krishna was in favor of Arjuna. Therefore, along with the other members of the family, he tried to pacify Lord Balaram by falling at his feet and begging him to pardon Arjuna. Lord Balaram was then convinced that Subhadra was attracted to Arjuna, and he became pleased to know that she wanted Arjuna as her husband. The matter was settled. And in order to please the newlywed couple, Lord Balaram arranged to send a dowry consisting of abundance of riches, elephants, chariots, horses, servants, and maidservants. So in the end, it all works out, and Lord Balaram gives his blessing. So there are a few places in the pastimes where Balaram's, it's almost like Balaram's consciousness, there are things he doesn't know, although he's also all-knowing Supreme Personality, but sometimes Krishna will kind of like bewilder him. He could not even see that Arjuna was the sannyasi. He just couldn't see it. So there are more places like that throughout the pastimes. And all of this is just to make the exchange, especially the exchange between Krishna and Balaram, more sweet. Sometimes there is even, sometimes Lord Balaram as a bigger brother, that happened in Vrindavan, as a bigger brother, he could be almost cruel to Krishna. During a few days, he would tease Krishna that how is it, Krishna, that your mother Yashoda, she is very fair. She has like a light complexion, like light orangish complexion, and Vasudev, he also has a very light skin, and I'm your brother Balaram, I'm white, like a autumn cloud. He's very beautiful, whitish color, Lord Balaram. But Krishna, you are so dark, you are so black. I don't think, Krishna, you belong to this family. So Krishna, he would really mock, and Balaram would really mock him. Say, you cannot be part of this family. How can you be born with this kind of color? This darkish color, when all of us we are not the same color. So Krishna, he would be very deeply disturbed. And he would go into a hollow tree and he would cry, and nobody could find him. He would get lost. This is one of these pastimes. When you hear devotees tell this pastime in detail, you just have to start crying because it's so cruel. The Balaram was so cruel. So there are pastimes like this, and then of course Balaram, he goes on his pilgrimage. He goes to all the holy places, but at one point he hears how in the battle of Kurukshetra, all the kings and princes, they have all died. And he kind of like, he comes back. And there's the fight between Bhima and Duryodhana. They are going to oppose each other with the clubs, which is like Bhima's favorite weapon of choice. And Duryodhana, because he had been trained by Lord Balaram, he is also very strong. And as this fight is about to happen, Lord Balaram appears. And all the other Pandava brothers, nobody's saying anything. Because, there's a tension. Because they know Balaram, he may favor Duryodhana. Because he was his loyal student. And Balaram, he tried to convince both of them, Bhima and Duryodhana, not to fight. He said, what is the use of this fighting? You should settle this situation without a fight, because one of you is stronger in prowess, one have more physical strength, and the other has more technical skills and abilities in club fighting. So you're practically equal. So there is no use to fight. But that is one place because Balaram, he was practically not present he was still on pilgrimage during the whole battle of Kurukshetra. But there was just one small point when he came back, he wanted to intervene, but they didn't want to listen to him, and they fought. They fought. So Krishna and Balaram, they spent the most time, if you see all the different associates of Lord Krishna, you have Mother Yashoda, you have Vasudeva and Devaki, you have all the Vrishbasis, you have all the gopis of Vrindavan. So all the different devotees of Krishna, the Pandavas. We think of Krishna, we worship Krishna here with his flute. Vrindavan Krishna, he has a flute. But as soon as Krishna leaves Vrindavan, he is not taking his flute with him. So Arjuna, he didn't know the Krishna with the flute. He knew there is stories, because Subhadra, she knew the stories of Krishna, and Balaram knew the stories of Krishna from his childhood in Vrindavan. But the Pandavas, they didn't know Krishna in that form. So Balaram, he's spending the whole childhood in Vrindavan, and then he goes with Krishna to Mathura, and then he goes with Krishna to Dwaraka. So they are practically lifelong brothers, very intimately connected. And Balaram, he's using all kinds of chances to serve Krishna in various ways. So there are so many things to say. Actually, when Srila Prabhupada got the land in Vrindavan, now if we go to Vrindavan, then the whole Vrindavan town has kind of like grown so much that it's like our Krishna Balaram temple is like in the middle. But that was not like that when Prabhupada got the land. When Prabhupada got the land, it was very, it was outside. And this piece of land was known as Raman Reti. And Raman Reti, that's the sand. That was the reason why Srila Prabhupada, he decided, I want to install Krishna and Balaram. Because the sand, this soft sand in Raman Reti, that was where the cowherd boys, they used to go in Vrindavan and wrestle in the soft sand of Raman Reti. And I think, what was the first year you went to Vrindavan? 86. 86, yeah. Yeah, so that was still there was not so much happening after the Krishna Balaram temple in 86. It was kind of like the last building.
Kind of last building.
Yeah, so it was like the end of the town, the last building. And it's also like that when I went first time in 88, and it was also like there was almost no development. And especially if you would walk behind the Krishna Balaram temple, there was just kind of like small pathways and sand. And you could really feel this Ramanareti, what it was, where Krishna and Balaram, they had come to sport in the sand of Vrindavan. And that year I went to, you could walk on these small roads, you could walk, and you could walk all the way to the Krishna Balaram tree. And I took this picture. You cannot maybe see it now, but this is a Tamil tree. And I'm not sure what the white part of the tree is. It's another kind of tree which kind of like grows on the Tamil tree. The Tamil tree is very blackish, and the white part of the tree is Balaram. So it's called the Krishna Balaram tree. But if you see this picture, there's just land. It was completely open. I will you can come and look at it closer. It's not the best photo, but the mood you can feel. It was just completely open. The Krishna Balaram tree, I think it stands on a road now, where behind is the building where Rohini Sutta and his wife is living. So it's like completely clogged in some place. It doesn't have the same mood as it had at that time. So Vrindavan is kind of like changing, but it's still there. I was thinking, where did it go? Because before you could just walk, you walk for like 10, 15 minutes just behind our Krishna Balaram Mandir, and you would come to this mystical place where the Krishna Balaram tree was. But now you have to go out and around because everything is built. But yeah. So Krishna and Balaram, they're there in Vrindavan, predominating deities. And there are a few Krishna Balaram temples in the world. In Vrindavan, there are more Krishna Balaram temples. There, Balaram, he's known as Dauchi, the older brother. And sometimes he's even there without Krishna. So there are a few Dauchi temples in Vrindavan. So, yeah. I think the next Krishna Balaram temple we have is in France, in Umayapur. There is Krishna Balaram. But Prabhupada, he was very, the establishing of Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan, this was a very deep love of Srila Prabhupada. There is also Radha Shama Sundara and two gopis, Lalita and Vishaka, and there is Shishi Gaurnitai on the altar, but everybody knows this is Krishna Balaram temple. This is so dominant that they are there in the center of the temple. So maybe some questions or comments about Lord Balaram, or some. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I couldn't follow. Also Balaram is 8 days older than Krishna.
Yes.
Who gave birth to Balaram?
Rohini.
But she gave, and then again 8 days later she got this.
No. Good that you asked, because that is the whole point. Why Krishna, if you understand the transcendental nature of my activities, then you only need to die and you go back to Krishna. That's the whole point, because this is very difficult to understand. So Balaram, he was in the womb of of Devaki. He was in the womb of Devaki. And then he was asked to please, Krishna kind of like asked that he is please moved. So Yoga Maya, she was the instrument who made the transfer. So Rohini, she was already 3 months pregnant, and she was in Vrindavan. under the care of Nanda Maharaj, in the house of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. There she was. And she was 3 months pregnant. And Devaki, she was, Balaram had already also been in her womb for some time. Because that was the whole point. He was preparing the womb of Devaki for Krishna's appearance. So he had been, she had been all blissed out because she was pregnant with Lord Balaram. But then the transfer was made. And for Devaki, that's why it says that the seventh pregnancy of Devaki was a miscarriage. Because she lost the child. She lost the child. She lost the child because Yogamaya, she transferred Balaram from her womb to the womb of Rohini, where the Balaram, which were already there, they kind of like became one person. So they became one person. So, and she was pregnant for 14 months, just to wait. Lord Balaram, he wanted to appear as close as possible to Krishna's appearance, but he still wanted to be the older brother. So he comes on the Purnima, on the full moon, and then there's the Astami, the 8 days later, then Lord Krishna appears. So, yes. So, again, your question, you understand it now?
Okay, that is, Balaram is transferred in Rohini's womb.
Yes.
Yes. And Devaki as Krishna is then in her womb.
And then Krishna is in her womb, and Subhadra herself, or Yogamaya herself, she is now growing to a full girl in the womb of Yashoda.
In the womb of Yashoda?
Yes, she is now.
But that is only a few days. No?
No. There is time because Rohini, she was 3 months pregnant, and before Balaram take birth, he was in her womb for 4. Yeah. So the Rohini, she is 14 months pregnant with Balaram. 3 months before it merges from the second Balaram, from the womb of Devaki, and at the same time. At that time already, Yogamaya entered the womb of Yashoda, and she gave birth to a girl.
Okay, that was the exchange between Krishna and Yashoda.
Yeah. So Krishna, he kinds of like he appears to Yogamaya and says, "Can you do these 2 things for me? You have to do 2 things for me. You have to arrange for the transfer of Lord Balaram, that he's transferred to the womb of Rohini, and you have to appear in the womb of Mother Yashoda and become the daughter." So therefore we have Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra. They are all, you always say they are all siblings. But how are they siblings? At least they have the same, Krishna has the same Vasudeva and Devaki as mother and father, and it's all very intricate. And that's the whole idea, that if you can understand the transcendental nature, then
And then this transference of Balaram into Rohini's womb, I think maybe that's also answering your question. That happens like 9 months or before. Actually, then.
Then it all works because she was already.
Devaki was pregnant again with Krishna.
Yes. Therefore it works. Therefore it works. But therefore still Rohini, she must have been gone crazy. What is this? I'm pregnant. It's like normally it go for 9 months, and now it goes for 14 months. But she kind of like just tolerated because it's all.
But what do you mean with Rohini? Like she had Balaram also before in her womb?
She had a form of Shankarshan. She had a form because she was the wife of Vasudeva,
Yeah.
and she was already pregnant. So she had
Balaram.
she had actually a form of Shankarshan or Balaram, some kind of.
That's what you mean was then Balaram again entered her womb.
Yeah. So he became, there was like two Balarams and they became like one personality in her womb. Yeah. That would have been fun if she had given birth to twin Balarams. Okay. Yes.
And I also heard like the Vandana master says Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, so he also took birth in Vrindavan. And there's also two Krishnas who merged.
Yeah, they are. That's all. Let's speak about that when we come to Janmashtami, because that was why I chose the verse here, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. If you know the transcendental nature of my birth and my activities, then you can immediately after you leave this body, you go back to the spiritual world, because there are so many details and there are so many understandings. Now you came a little later in the class, so some of the things I already spoke about, but it goes very, 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 very deep. And that's why, that's like our blessing, because we can really absorb our mind and try to understand all of these details. It doesn't get boring. Krishna, he appeared. Yeah, but how, And then you can just completely engage yourself. There's so many points. Yes.
And Subhadra, she was born in the prison, by Devaki.
Yeah.
And then she grew up in the prison, or she went back to...
Yeah, that's the thing. That question I actually had for a long time. Yeah. But I have not gotten the answer. Actually, I know she appeared like Durga or like Yoga Maya in front of Kamsa and really scared him. But what exactly happened and where she grew up? But you understand, when Arjuna he wants to marry Subhadra, he is completely convinced that he asked permission from her parents, and that's Vasudeva and Devaki. So she might have been, she was the daughter in that sense, because she was like exchanged of Vasudeva and Devaki, but actually she was Yashoda's daughter at the same time. And because they were still imprisoned, she may have come back to Vrindavan and grown up, but I'm not complete. I don't know where she grew up. That's like a, But at least she lived in Lord Balaram's house until she got married. So there was this family relation is there. So I don't know. So that's the whole idea. We can always become. There are always new things we can find out. So Krishna consciousness is always like dynamic. You can always learn new things. Okay, we have 9:00. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Balaram Purnima ki jai. And if you would like to see the Krishna Balaram tree, you can just come and have a look.